Bray again, and today I'm doing a pretty exciting video. At least I think it's an exciting video because I like watching these videos, and now that I have my shelves together here, I decided to do my top 10 most owned authors, which basically means my top authors that when they buy a book, I will buy it. My must-buy authors, which inevitably is kind of like pretty much a list of my favorite authors, with an exception of a few that aren't present or are present, blah blah blah, but essentially, yeah. Alright, well, let's get started. Let's get started. Coming up at number 10, I had a lot of ties for 4 books owned, so I made the condition of like 4 books, plus I had to own at least 2 series of this author, so that helped me narrow it down. So the first author on my list is Libba Bray. Okay, this is gonna be difficult. I own 4 books by Libba Bray. The first 3 being the Gemma Doyle Trilogy, which is historical fiction paranormal trilogy. I haven't finished it yet, but what I've read so far I've really enjoyed. And also I have by her The Diviners, which is a historical fiction paranormal occult novel set in the 1920s, which I loved. I absolutely loved this. Libba Bray, I love her. I will buy anything she puts out. In fact, there's some books that I don't own by her that I need to get soon. I find her writing beautifully intoxicating, as well as there is a sly bit of humor that is really unique to Libba Bray, and I just really enjoy the atmosphere she can create. I love her a lot. My 9th most owned author is Melina Marchetta, and the first 3 books I own by her are the Lumetri Chronicles, which is a young adult fantasy series and probably my favorite, if not close up there, favorite fantasy young adult trilogy I've ever read. It is absolutely fantastic. The other book I own by her is Jellicoe Road, and I haven't read this yet. I really want to. Ariel and I have plans to read it. She's been crazy busy. We need to do that soon, Ariel. We really need to. Yes, Melina Marchetta, again, is one of those authors who has more books that I need to buy, but from what I've read of hers, her writing is fantastic. The characters she can create are so relatable. The Lumetri Chronicles, I'm telling you, one of the best young adult fantasy series I have ever read. Fantastic. I will buy anything she ever puts out ever. The next author I'm going to talk about is the only contemporary author that is on my list, and I own 6 of her books, one of which is not present as it's at home currently, but it's Jenny Han, and I have the first 2 books of her Burn for Burn trilogy. The last one is coming out really soon, which I'm excited to read. I also have her entire Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, which I absolutely adored, and I also have To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. Jenny Han is like the master of summer contemporary. I freaking love her books. I think they are really fun and great reads, but there's always a deeper undercurrent that isn't like overwhelming, but there's something in there that gives it substance that I just really love. I love Jenny Han. I will buy all of her books from now on, and I just recently fell in love with Jenny Han this past summer. Great decision. Truly, I'm proud of that decision. My next most owned author is one of my absolute all-time favorites, as many of you know. Oh, this is difficult. And that's Patrick Ness, yeah. I own by him More Than This, which I loved, adored, truly. And Monster Calls, again, loved, adored, truly cried. The Crane Wife, which is his only published novel I have not read, which I really need to get on to soon. This is also an adult novel, and yeah, I'm excited. Lastly by him, I own the Chaos Walking trilogy, which was one of I think it was like my 3rd favorite book I read last year. Absolutely fantastic trilogy. So good. Such a great young adult science fiction trilogy. Again, Patrick Ness is writing is fantastic. Such deep themes he can't think of words, things that he puts in his young adult novels I just think are so deep and thought-provoking, which is kind of the same thing as deep, but you know what I'm trying to say. He's great, okay? The next person on the list, you might notice my empty box up there, I own 7 of his books, and this is going to be really hard because they're quite large, and that's Brandon Sanderson. Time to put these down. By Brandon Sanderson, I own the Mistborn trilogy, which is so good. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you. I can't even form words. So fantastic. Just read it, okay? I own The Alloy of Law, which is the first companion novel to the Mistborn trilogy. Haven't read this yet. I own The Arithmetist by him, which is a middle grade adventure story with really killer illustrations. Awesome. I own Steelheart, which is a anti-hero, superhero sci-fi novel, sci-fi fantasy novel that's, again, freaking awesome. And lastly, I own this beast, which is A Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. First book of an epic fantasy trilogy series, 12-book series that I have not started because it's terrifying, but I've heard fantastic things. Truly. The next author on my list I also own 7 books too, and it might be kind of an obvious guess, and that is J.K. Rowling, because 7 Harry Potter books. You know, favorite series of all time, favorite author of all time, because wrote Harry Potter. It's a given. Needless to say, she should probably be higher on my list because I really need to buy The Casual Vacancy, Cuckoo's Calling, Silkworm, all those companion books I haven't bought. I don't know why. I should. I'll fix it. Don't worry. The next person on my list, I own 8 of her books, and that is Cinda Williams Chima, who is probably the person who introduced me to young adult fantasy way back in the day, and I have been reading her books for like 7 years, and I love her, so I'll show you the books I have. First book series I have by her is the Air Chronicles, and actually the only book I haven't read of hers is this last one, The Enchanted Air, but this is a really great urban contemporary fantasy series that I really enjoyed. I haven't read it in a really long time. I read it in middle school and very early high school, but I really enjoyed it when I read it. And I also own the Demon King trilogy by her, which is, until I read the Lumitru Chronicles, was standing as my favorite young adult fantasy series and is really high up there. This is a fantastic high fantasy, multiple perspective young adult fantasy trilogy with fantastic characters, great political intrigue, and just greatness. It's so freaking good. Like, if you read Warrior Air for like Booksplosion, try this because this is so much better. Like, I liked the Air Chronicles, but these, so much. The next author, I own 9 of her books, 6 of which I don't actually have with me. They're at home, but it is Cassandra Clare, as many of you probably own many of her books. Yeah, she is an auto-buy author for me. I have been reading, again, her book series literally since 7th grade, so a really long time. And I don't know, they're just really enjoyable, and I will always buy her novels. Not so much into those codexes or those weird side books, but when she releases one of these tall, shiny hardbacks, I will buy it at the bookstore or pre-order it, you know. The next author I also own 9 books for, and that is Rick Riordan. This is so heavy. And for Mr. Rick, it is essentially one giant series that I own. The first 5 being the Percy Jackson series, a staple to my childhood, a staple to my life. Absolutely love it. Love it forever. I will read these to my kids, I swear to you, forever. Also own the Last Olympian, what is this called? The Hero of Olympus? Okay, well, the continuation series following new characters / old characters. The Hero of Olympus. What is it called? I don't know. I've been reading these since publication. Freaking love them. I'm so sad it's concluding this year, but I'm also excited to see where it ends up. But Rick! My most owned author is actually an author. I only have 1 book with me currently, but I own 14 of his books, and it should be, you know, it's Lemony Snicket, okay? I own, obviously, his entire series of Unfortunate Events books. I read them as a child, and I rebought them last year, and they're coming to me soon. I just couldn't fit everything in boxes, so some of my bigger series are still at home. And then I also have the first book to his new series, Who Could That Be at This Hour? Which I haven't read yet because I want to finish rereading series of Unfortunate Events, but yes, 14 books, yeah. Alrighty guys, those are my top 10 most owned authors. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know down below what authors you own most of and who are your top must-buy, auto-buy authors. Let me know. Alrighty guys, see you guys soon. Bye.